Don't fall for mediocrity. I've been vulnerable, I've been honest, I've told my team that, hey, I've cried in front of my team. I said, you know what, I don't think so I can do this.
On today's episode, we have with us Ritam Bhatnagar. But who is Ritam Bhatnagar? Ritam is a founder of IFP, which organizes Asia's largest content festival. And when they say largest, they really mean it. What goes behind the scenes of making this happen? And he has closed over 300 plus brand deals with many big brands like Coca-Cola, Amazon, Spotify, and many more. किस तरीके से you approach client? Also, he is a Lego artist and he is building the largest Lego city of India.
Lego has infinite possibilities. With just 100 bricks, you can make 2 raised to 100 kind of combinations.
Welcome to another episode of Just Curious podcast, where we decode the mindset of our guest through curiosity. And on this episode, I decoded the mindset of Ritam Bhatnagar. Welcome, Ritam, on the podcast.
Hey, Utsav, good to finally catch up
Yeah.
virtually though, and I hope to see you in person very soon as well. But
Yes. Do you think कि when you are young in your career, like around आप जब आपका career start ही कर रहे हो, so at that point of time you should give more priority to your professional life?
see, early years of your career, because you are in your mid 20s, the energy level is higher, which means you can be more productive and efficient.
हाँ.
Right. So in fact, working 12 hours is not a very smart deal when you are in your 20s. Typically say, I would say कि अभी I might be lesser efficient than what I was 10 years back. So जब मैं 22-23 साल का था तब I was like very efficient. मैं 1 घंटे में 4 चीज कर पाता था. अभी मैं 1 घंटे में 2 ही चीजें कर पाता हूँ. Because of course I want to do them perfectly. I have my own things that will keep on distracting me altogether, जो उस टाइम पे नहीं था. So I think तब और अब अगर I was working 8 hours when I was 22, and if I'm working 8 hours when I'm 32, uh, I would have been more productive when I was 22-year-old in those 8 hours than what I am right now. You know, so I think uh, being more productive in your 20s and working 16 hours is not going to help. It's more about being productive enough that you complete all your work, all your planning in those 8, 9, 10 hours maximum, and then have a good chunk of your non-work life as well. I think most of the people, and I think it's more to do with that we are also a developing country, so there are a lot of opportunities. Everyone wants to grab as many opportunities, but we need to understand that uh, your crucial personal time that you get to spend with people around you is also as important as your professional life or your time that you're going to spend along with your colleagues. Your personal time is not going to come back. It's not like once you turn 35, you'll be like, अरे अभी मेरा प्रोफेशनल सेट हो गया, अब मैं सिर्फ फैमिली के साथ टाइम निकालूंगा. वो नहीं होता है. Yeah, मैं फ्रेंड्स का टाइम निकालूंगा. By the time you're 35, your friends are also busy in their life. मेरा when I was 22 year old, मेरे प्लान्स ऐसे बनते थे फ्रेंड्स के साथ. तुम्हारा अभी ऐसा you met with a friend, you are like चलो गोवा, people are like चलो गोवा. मेरा ऐसा नहीं बनता. मेरा नवंबर का गोवा का प्लान अभी बन रहा है. And people are like right now going to apply for their leaves so that they get 7 days ka leave back. So you need to understand that what was going to happen in your social life in 20s will not happen in your 30s. So you can't say after 20s ka social or personal life I will compromise it to suddenly become more richer or a more successful career person, and at 30s I will then suddenly become more personal oriented person. It doesn't happen. So someone who's learned the art of balancing will always lead that kind of life for next 50 years. Someone who's never learned that art will always struggle. वो 20s में they'll be very professional life oriented, 30s में they'll be very personal life oriented, 40s में वापस professional में जाएंगे, 50s में वापस personal में जाएंगे. They'll just keep on dwindling between both the things. So that is, I think, a thing that I learned. I tell that to every possible friend of mine. सबको बोलता हूँ यार, this time is not going to come back in your professional and personal. Make the most out of it both ways. Don't make most out of it just in a singular way. And of course, similarly, your third, which is your me time, which is the time that you spend with yourself. So typically 20s में people cut that time. People are like कि 20s में मैं अपना सोशल लाइफ संभाल लेता हूँ, प्रोफेशनल लाइफ संभाल लेता हूँ, मेरे को मी टाइम की क्या जरूरत है. मी टाइम का भी उतना ही जरूरत है. थ्रू आउट योर लाइफ यू नीड दैट मी टाइम, पर्सनल टाइम, प्रोफेशनल टाइम इक्वली सॉर्टेड थ्रू आउट.
Hmm. True. ये
So I
100%.
had that balancing. I've been telling people, if you're listening to this podcast, please make sure that whatever your age is, if you've completed your graduation, your me time, your personal time, and your professional time needs to be properly defined. एक दूसरे को overlap करने से you won't become Ambani. You will
Hmm.
not become very successful. In fact, and too much personal time spent because you might not even become very social. Things will take their own course. But what you can make sure is that at least in your present, you are fullest.
Yeah. And I think this comes from a lot of young people trying to show कि मैंने ऐसे 22 पे मैंने 5 मिलियन बना लिए, या तो फिर मैंने इतना इतना बना लिए. लाइक लॉट ऑफ अस आर थिंकिंग लाइक कि मैं उस जगह पे किस तरीके से पहुंचूं. अगर वो बना रहा
हाँ,
है तो देन आई ऑल्सो वांट टू मेक दैट अमाउंट ऑफ मनी. एंड देन फिर उस लूप के अंदर वी फॉरगेट अबाउट दोज पर्सनल लाइव्स, आई
the
बिलीव.
entire, हाँ, मतलब, I think, like I said, we are a developing country, so somehow we have this belief that the more I work, the more successful I would be. The
या.
entire hustle economy is based on that, but that's not how it is. It's not at all true. The
हम्म.
more time you invest doesn't mean that better you are doing. The more smart you are, the more smartly you can achieve same productivity without spending more time is what is going to make you successful. So the entire hustle culture is very otherwise. They are like 20s में बहुत hustle कर लो, 30s में मजे करने. It's the same logic जो हमारी मम्मी हमारे को स्कूल में बोलती थी, बेटा
हाँ.
10th तक पढ़ लो फिर तो मजे ही है, 12th तक पढ़ लो फिर मजे ही है, कॉलेज पढ़ लो फिर मजे ही है. किसी के मजे नहीं हुए ना. एवरीवन रियलाइज्ड कॉलेज के लास्ट पे जाके कि अभी बॉस, नाउ तो द चैलेंज इज स्टार्टिंग, अब तो फाइट शुरू हो रहा
हम्म.
है. एंड देन पीपल आर लाइक, अभी बस 5 साल मेहनत कर लो फिर मजे हैं, अभी एक
हम्म.
स्टार्टअप कर लो, $10 million बना लो फिर मजे हैं. इट डजेंट हैपन दैट वे.
या ट्रू.
I always thought the happiest people in my batch during my school were those people who were average performers. You know, उनको फेल होने का भी डर नहीं था, उनको सक्सीड करने के लिए घर पे कोई ये भी नहीं बोलता था अभी बस पढ़ लो थोड़े. उनके पेरेंट्स को पता था वो अपना काम निकाल लेंगे, आगे लाइफ में मूव करेंगे, एकदम बैलेंस चलते, ना वो फेल हो रहे हैं ना वो ओवर अचीव कर रहे हैं. एंड देन वो कंसिस्टेंसी इज वेयर लाइक दे विन बिग.
और ये कॉलेज वाला थिंग तो आई ऑल्सो बिलीव दैट अलॉट बिकॉज आई हैव एंजॉयड माई कॉलेज टाइम अलॉट. और मैं जब मेरे कोई जूनियर मिलता है मुझे, या तो फिर कोई कॉलेज में तब मुझे मिलता है, दे आर टॉकिंग अबाउट कि फ्रीलांसिंग अपॉर्चुनिटी मुझे ये करना है, लाइक आई हैव दिस स्पेयर 4 hours और 5 hours ऑफ टाइम, तो मुझे उसमें मैं ये कर लेता हूँ सो आई कैन अर्न मनी आउट ऑफ इट. मैंने बोला ठीक है, तू कर, तू फिगर आउट कर ले कि तुझे इतना रुपए कमाना है, बस उसके बाद फिर तू करेगा कि एक महीने मुझे 50,000 60,000 तब उस उम्र में करना है. then you are losing out on opportunity of spending time with your friends, कि वो तेरे फ्रेंड्स
एब्सोल्युटली.
बना रहे फ्रेंड्स की, चल आज आईपीएल बैठ के देखेंगे, आज फाइनल है, एंड दैट फन विल नेवर कम बैक.
Absolutely, absolutely.
तो
Even after having all that money in your account, that fun is not going to come back.
हाँ.
The realization eventually for most people happens very late. People realize this by the time they turn 35. When you know that every door has closed, suddenly you are like, oh, now I want to meet my friends. Now I want to spend more time with them. But that phase has gone for most of the people, unfortunately.
और इस बात से ना आई वाज आल्सो वेरी लाइक आई वाज स्ट्रगलिंग विद दिस लाइक फ्यू मंथ्स बैक वेयर आई वाज सीइंग सम अदर फ्रेंड्स ऑफ माइन कि जहाँ पे वो लोग दे आर पुटिंग मोर एंड मोर आवर्स इन देयर वर्क, एंड आई एम लाइक कि मैं 5-6 घंटे काम कर रहा हूँ, मेरा जो काम खत्म करना था वो कर
हाँ,
लिया.
हाँ.
अभी लाइक दे आर वर्किंग, आई एम सिटिंग एट माई होम, और कोई मिलने वाला मतलब फ्रेंड्स है, फ्रेंड्स लोग काम कर रहे हैं वो नहीं मिल रहे, देन आई एम सडनली हैविंग दिस फोमो. एंड आई थिंक लॉट ऑफ पीपल विल हैव दैट फोमो कि सारे लोग काम कर रहे हैं यार, मैं काम नहीं कर रहा हूँ, मैंने खत्म कर दिया काम, तो फिर
राइट,
किस
राइट,
तरीके
राइट.
से
सबको
करूँ.
होता है वो. हाँ,
हाँ.
एग्जैक्टली. आई थिंक एवरीवन गोज थ्रू दैट at some point or the other. But वही है, not everyone thinks that
हम्म.
a healthy balance is what will keep you going longer.
हाँ. हाँ.
Again,
और
it boils down to the same, um, जो हमारे को पहले वो टर्टल एंड रैबिट का स्टोरी सुनाते थे ना,
हाँ.
that the slow and steady wins the race. You need to be
हम्म.
that slow steady one. You don't need to be the rabbit. Most of the people are trying to become the rabbit in
हम्म.
that story. Everyone thinks that, hey, I am the smarter one, so if I become the faster one, I will probably achieve my goal even more,
हम्म.
faster than how a turtle would. But eventually, the turtle always wins. We need to just realize that in the turtle and rabbit story, there was a reason it was being told to you when you were 2 year old. It was the reason it was told to you again when you were 5 year old, and it was the reason they told you in the MBA college the same thing, that be the turtle, don't try to be the rabbit.
हम्म. ट्रू. 100%. And अभी like I want to shift the gear and I want to talk about जो आप festivals आप IFP का festivals होता है every year. So like at that scale, like I have taken a part in 50-hour filmmaking challenge
Oh, have you?
for हाँ.
Which
So
year?
2017 or 2018, I am just forgetting the
Wow.
year. बट जब मैं कॉलेज के ईयर में था, सो आई वॉज वेरी एक्टिव इन आर ड्रामा ट्रूप, कॉलेज के ड्रामा ट्रूप के अंदर. एंड वी वर एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम वी वांटेड टू मेक आवर ओन यूट्यूब चैनल कॉलेज के ड्रामा ट्रूप का. तो उस टाइम पे ही वन ऑफ माय फ्रेंड डिस्कवर कि 50 आवर फिल्म मेकिंग चैलेंज है, इंडियन फिल्म प्रोजेक्ट करके कुछ है, इंडिया फिल्म प्रोजेक्ट करके. सो वी थॉट कि चलो उस पे ही करते हैं, वही वीडियो बनाएंगे फिर वही यूट्यूब पे डाल देंगे. एडमिशन की एंट्री भी हो गई और ये भी हो गया. सो
Very smart.
हाँ. What goes behind the scenes of making this happen?
So, since you asked what goes, I think two things that go. एक तो time,
हाँ.
So preparations शुरू होती है almost 11.5 months पहले. So typically हम लोग अक्टूबर में फेस्टिवल रैप करते हैं
हाँ.
और नवंबर मिड से पोस्ट दिवाली we start working on the next festival.
Okay.
If you want to get 65,000 people under a single roof, there is no way that you can do it in a month or two. It typically takes us good 11 months of planning, um, going through a lot of feedback, uh, decision making that happens, getting right kind of team members, getting right kind of partners. All of that takes like a lot of time. So जब हम लोग, when we go out and we say that 65,000 people from 40 countries participated, it's like people think ठीक है 65,000 people in a country जहाँ पे everything runs into crores is not a big deal, but to tell them that hey 65,000 people who had a one single aspiration of being, or they have a one single common thread of
हाँ.
being a creative enthusiast, being a creative person, getting those kind of people to come together and participate, that's the big deal. It's that thing. It's not that we are getting 65,000 people in a mall attracted. We are getting 65,000 people who are the top of their creative game in the country. 65,000 people who have got their own opinions. These 65,000 people who have got their own thought processes. These 65,000 people whom you can't just give a bait and say free entry, hello, aajo. They are
हाँ.
paying for that damn entry. And when you have 65,000 people pay and attend and participate in a challenge or attend a festival, I think that is where the value creation is for us. So, of course, the time is something which is big. The second thing that goes behind is a lot of understanding of what is happening with creative ecosystem.
हाँ.
The creative ecosystem, fortunately, is so fast evolving. It's almost as fast evolving as technology. Mano ya na mano, but technology and creative ecosystem ka space is, or the pace is like very overlapping. They're like very much into each other. So the moment there is new technology, there is an upgrade. The moment there is new technique, there is an upgrade. So every time there is some new product that comes in, the creative ecosystem goes through a thing. Every time
हाँ.
there is a cultural change, there is a change that will come in the creative ecosystem. So to understand what does a creator want, what are his or her problem, what do they stand for, what are their aspirations, and how as IFP we can become that platform for them. I think that is where it takes a lot of time than others. So a lot of understanding. Sorry if I have to tell you. So I think
हाँ.
understanding of creators in the creative ecosystem is the number one thing to put something at this massive scale. And the second, of course, is the time that it goes behind it. So there's a special dedicated team that we have at IFP, which is just a festival team, which works all 12 months in just putting the festival, a good festival out there. So
Right. So मुझे ये जानना है, आई एम वेरी क्यूरियस अबाउट दिस कि लाइक व्हाट इज द फर्स्ट स्टेप. अगर फेस्टिवल आप जैसे आपने जैसे बोला कि 11.5 months पहले काम शुरू हो जाता है, देन व्हाट इज दैट फर्स्ट स्टेप यू गाइस टू टेक एंड देन फिर उसको डिकोड करते हैं पूरा कि किस तरीके से फिर
so
एंड प्रोडक्ट तक पहुंचता है.
हाँ हमारा फर्स्ट स्टेप बहुत सिंपल है. हम लोग हर फेस्टिवल में वी हैव अ फीडबैक that
हाँ.
we take, and typically our feedback runs into like thousands. This year we have around 8,000 people who gave feedback across challenges and festivals. So the first part is to decode everything, like go through all those 8,000 feedbacks, find out those 400 500 common pressing issues that people have. Out of those 500 issues, put them into the next year's plan so that we don't make the same mistake again, whichever has come from people. And that is, I think, the first beginning for us for next year. So the last year, and I'll be very honest, no one can pull off something such huge without making a mistake. Everyone makes a
हाँ.
mistake. Some people can cover it. Some mistakes are visible. Some mistakes are not visible. Um, most of times our mistakes are very tiny, so they are not visible to a lot of people. They are just visible to one single person who faced it. Now, to become better, to scale, the only thing that we need to focus is that वो इतना छोटा leakage भी नहीं होना चाहिए. Like, why do we even make a smallest of mistake? So even that 1% audience who faced it as a probably who thought that this was not a great experience, we need to even work on that. So I think that's how year on year um, we can scale. That's how year on year we can become better at what we are doing. So this is the very first step. Like this itself takes good 45 days to go through the feedback, to make sense out of that feedback, to put that feedback into action, and then probably from that action put it into a plan.
और फिर लेट्स से कि एक प्लान बना दिया कि वी गॉट गुड अमाउंट ऑफ फीडबैक जो भी मिला था, एंड अभी उसके एक्शनेबल इनसाइट्स हमने क्रिएट कर दिए. देन व्हाट इज द सेकंड स्टेप?
The second step is then to have a team take the team through the entire plan, saying that Abhi, this is what we thought we had genuine feedback basis that we have made these 500 600 changes in the plan, and basis those changes your role will change as well, which means someone who was doing marketing will now have 10 new things that they will have to take care while they are doing marketing because it has come as a part of feedback. So their role alignment happens, which means everyone is told what exactly they're supposed to do. Once that is done, then we go into an execution phase, which is typically somewhere in February mid. So by February mid, we start approaching agencies and closing agencies, approaching all the partners that we want to, approaching sponsors who would come as a part of it. And we make sure that we are prepared for our major launch, which is like the public open launch where people can start registering themselves, which happens in the mid of May. So mid of May, all the planning is sorted. Like for example, right now this week our planning has closed for everything. Now we are only into execution. So our सारा creatives are getting made, the website is getting updated. All those things are happening in this particular week. And so
हाँ.
next week say all the testing will happen, and a week after that we'll just go into a smooth launch phase altogether. Once we are into launch phase, then the idea is of course to get more people to the festival. So then everyone is just trying to grow in the festival. So everyone is trying, how do I reach out to newer territories, new countries, new set of creators where we can get them on board. And of course, then the fight is about more operational, more execution driven.
सो आई थिंक 11 और 12 में आपने एक पोस्ट डाली थी जहाँ पे आपने लिखा था कि एवरीथिंग विच हैज टू गो रॉन्ग वेंट रॉन्ग इन आवर वे, कि बारिश हो गई, फिर कुछ ऑपरेशनल इश्यूज आए थे, फिर टीम मेंबर्स जो थे कोई बहुत सारे लोग छोड़ के चले गए जो काम कर रहे थे उसके ऊपर, ऐसा शायद से आपने लिखा था उसके अंदर. सो लाइक व्हेन दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स हैपन, हाउ डू यू हैंडल दोस थिंग्स कि एक शिप जा रही है फिर अचानक से वो आइसबर्ग से या तो फिर कहीं ना कहीं पे वो लीकेज हो रहा है, तो फिर किस तरीके से उसको फिक्स करना है इन शॉर्ट अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम?
हाँ यार, सो अभी कैसा हुआ है ना, बिकॉज वी हैव बीन डूइंग दिस फॉर 12 इयर्स नाउ, सो वी हैव गॉट यूज्ड टू एन आइडिया कि प्रॉब्लम तो आने ही वाला है,
हाँ.
फायर फाइटिंग करना ही है. एंड इनिशियल फ्यू इयर्स में इट यूज्ड टू कम अप एज अ सेटबैक. आई यूज्ड टू फील रियली बैड कि ये क्या हो गया, थिंग्स कुड हैव बीन बेटर. अभी भी नॉट दैट आई डोंट फील बैड अबाउट इट, जस्ट दैट आई डोंट रिएक्ट द वे आई वुड हैव रिएक्टेड अर्लियर. Last year, season 12 में, like you said, everything that could go wrong went wrong. You know, couple of important people from the team left just before the festival. So almost 3 to 1 month before the festival, people left, which is like something that we can't take. It's like creating a lot of operational difficulty inside. When it's like suddenly stage के नीचे तुमने रॉड हटा लिया, वैसा स्टेज तो गिरना ही है वैसा. Festival to plan to get people was a difficult task because things, though people said कि things were opening up, हमारा festival is something जहाँ पे people travel from more than 50 cities. So a lot of people were not open to traveling. They were like, हम local events attend करेंगे. Events everyone was attending in a huge number, but people were like, I am not open to travel from Lucknow to Mumbai for an event like this. So I think that was another challenge that we faced. Third, the cost had gone up. So post COVID, the entire cost ecosystem in the production of an event went up almost two times,
Hmm.
which meant that you had to, though you couldn't charge people two times more the ticket price, but you had to spend two times more in putting the entire event together. So that was a concern as well, because you had to like put a lot of money in making that part run. So I think those were kind of challenges. फिर event के एक दिन पहले just festival was going to begin at 10 a.m. next day, and a day before it rained entire day in Mumbai. It was like
हाँ.
from 10:30 a.m. it started. It rained till 2 a.m. in the night. So
Hmm.
the entire venue was flooded with more than 2 feet water at some places, and less than 10 hours later, your audience is going to come inside. You don't have carpets, you
Yeah.
can't put carpets, you can't do anything, and your festival is going to begin. So I think things that could have gone wrong went wrong. But as because like I said, because we've done it so many times, we've faced every kind of problem that could have come in. Like rain
Hmm.
was a very new problem for us, but not that it was such a huge problem. In where I thought worst case mein kya hoga? Not everyone will turn up. Your 50% people will turn up. That's the worst case that you pick up and then move ahead, because once you've invested in an event, you can't do anything.
हाँ.
It's not like you can postpone it because the money is inside. There's no way that postponing can happen. You can't go across, spend again in marketing. You can't rebook all the 200 speakers. So it's not possible practically for an event like us to even think of something like this. I was like, I can't do this. I can't postpone. I can't suddenly, get a new team. So what
हाँ.
do I do? So the only thing that I can do is do it in the whatever best resources that I have.
बट ड्यूरिंग दैट दिस काइंड ऑफ पर्टिकुलर टाइम रितम, कि जहाँ पे टीम देखती है कि एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर्स की वजह से बहुत सारी डिफिकल्टीज आने आने लग जाती है, सो समहाउ एज अ लीडर यू हैव टू पुट अ पॉजिटिव फ्रंट इन फ्रंट ऑफ योर टीम, बट आपका टीम इनसाइड की टीम का मोरल कहीं ना कहीं पे अप एंड डाउन हो रहा है, एंड द लास्ट लाइन ऑफ दैट पोस्ट वाज द शो मस्ट गो ऑन. सो इस टाइप का एटीट्यूड रख के, एंड हाउ टू ट्रांसलेट दैट एटीट्यूड टू योर टीम.
I think so what I've realized is that the best thing that works is honesty. You have to tell your team that, hey, I think I'm in trouble and I don't think that I have a solution to it. So the best thing that we can do is make sure that we come out of this trouble together. Or if you don't
ओके.
buy anyway, I'll have to come out of this trouble as such. So I think people are very understanding when you put them in that thing. When you tell them that, you know what, I am trying my best in front of you. I have given my 110%. So if you think that you want to be part of a journey like this, if you think that you buy that I have been into trouble because of something which is not in my hand, or probably a mistake that I made up, I own it up. Now what next is something that we'll have to come out of it together. I
हम्म.
think people will always buy a point where you're honest. I've
हाँ.
been vulnerable, I've been honest, I've told my team that, hey, I've cried in front of my team. I've said, you know what, I don't think so I can do this. I've stuck, and they've always come together and they're like, you know what, we'll do it together. So I think people do understand when you are not trying to, blindfold them.
हम्म.
Um, if you just beat around the bush, which is also something that I've made mistakenly, where you just tell them like that, you know what, ho jayega, we'll do it, dil mange more X, Y, that it doesn't work. They know that, or typically they'll bite and they'll be like, अच्छा इससे हो जाएगा, so then I don't need to amp up myself. They'll
हम्म.
be like, he's very confident, he'll do it, then let him do.
हम्म.
So I think the moments like these, our understanding team will always come together, and you have to be also trusting them that they'll understand.
हाँ. But like a lot of time people can't show their vulnerable side to their teams, which I have noticed कि कोई कोई लीडर या तो फिर कोई टीम के अंदर लाइक vulnerable emotions जो भी होता है वो कहीं ना कहीं पे हाइड करके रखते हैं, मे बी बिकॉज ऑफ द कल्चर, और आई डोंट नो.
होता है, नहीं I agree, मेरे साथ भी था ऐसा. I also went through that transformation. I also realized, I said कि I can't come out as a person who is like know it all. I can't come
हाँ.
out and tell my team that I'll figure it, चिंता मत करो, मैं कर लूंगा सब कुछ. I can't do that. अगर नहीं कर पाऊंगा तो the best thing is I have to tell them that I can't do this. And
हाँ.
typically, when someone tells me they can't do this, I make sure that I am helping them in the best way possible. So then wait for the reciprocation. People will always reciprocate.
हम्म.
People are very kind. People are very kinder than how we think of them.
हाँ.
Sometimes, of course, with our perceptions, we might think that, you know what, this is not working. This person might not help me, etc. But when you ask for help, typically people will always help.
हाँ, ये चीज है। एंड आई थिंक ये मैंने भी ये चीज देखी हुई है, लाइक आई हैव एक्सपीरियंस्ड इट फर्स्ट हैंड, कि जब आप बोल देते हो कि मुझे नहीं पता चल रहा है, एंड समहाउ यू ओपन दैट टू योर टीम, तो आपकी टीम भी सोचने लगती है कि ओके, नाउ व्हाट, तो वो भी उस पर्सपेक्टिव से सोचने लगते हैं। एटलीस्ट मेरे साथ तो ये हुआ है कि ओके, तुम्हें पता नहीं चल रहा है, मुझे पता नहीं चल रहा है, नाउ व्हाट वी कैन डू। और आपने जैसे बोला कि ये भी नहीं है, ये भी नहीं है, दिस इज व्हाट आई कैन डू, लेट्स सी कि क्या होता है इसको ये
Absolutely,
स्टेप लेके। हम्म।
absolutely.
राइट। एंड लाइक व्हाट्स योर बिगेस्ट ड्रीम विथ IFP, कि अगर आप
My
एक।
biggest dream. Yeah, as a dream, to like I again say, I'm a person who will keep on taking feedback and making it better.
ओके।
So, like I said, end goal nahi hai, I'm the turtle. So
हम्म।
I'll find my own way. Probably 30 years later, I'll be able to give an example to it. अभी मैं रैंडम तुक्का मार सकता एंड टेल यू दैट आई वांट टू मेक इट द बिगेस्ट कंटेंट फेस्टिवल, बिगेस्ट क्रिएटर फेस्टिवल, एक्स वाई दैट आई कैन से, बट वो बोलना तो बहुत इजी है ना। ऐसे
हम्म।
तो आई आल्सो वांट टू बाय एंटीला। आई एम
हाँ।
जस्ट सेइंग ऐसा बोलने में तो क्या ही जा रहा है। सो आई एम सेइंग इट्स पॉइंटलेस to have a dream attached to it. But of course, like I said, it because it aligns with my why that I want to create impact, a bigger purpose in lives of
हम्म।
millions of people. So the idea would be to make it take it to a place where it creates real impact in lives of people. अगर वो हो जाता है तो then I'm sorted.
राइट। और मुझे ये जानना है, आई एम वेरी क्यूरियस अबाउट दिस, कि अगर आपका फेस्ट मुंबई में होता है, वो होता है, लाइक व्हाई यू गाइस आर ऑपरेटिंग फ्रॉम अहमदाबाद?
I love it as a city. I think for
हाँ।
a human, as much as your food and your water is necessity, your city is a necessity. Your city is
हाँ।
kind of a character in your life का movie. You know, just
हम्म।
because people say कि सारा opportunities बॉम्बे में है तो बॉम्बे चले जाओ, doesn't mean that I need to. It's like an arranged marriage. I can't fall for an arranged marriage. मेरे को नहीं पसंद बॉम्बे. How can I go and live there? मेरे को
हम्म।
वहाँ का लाइफस्टाइल नहीं अच्छा लगता. I love that as a city with बहुत एनर्जी है. Great. So it's like someday, some days it's good to be there. But I love Ahmedabad as a city. It has a perfect balance of
हम्म।
professional personal life. You can make plans with your friends, and within 10 minutes they can go real. You tell person यहाँ पे मिलना है Skitly पे, they'll be there. No one has to think about commute. People get enough time with their families. Your recreational activities or weekends are not inside a pub playing music. You have real recreational activities which can happen here. You can your weekends you can spend with your favorite people, your loved ones, without
हाँ।
thinking twice about it. I think that's what cities were meant for. We started living in cities so that we could fulfill our overall ambitions.
हम्म।
Bombay is great for fulfilling your professional ambitions, really nice. But like I said, balance between a professional and personal life
हम्म।
is a necessity. So I think Ahmedabad or any city which is not like a hustling, bustling metro city, I think it always has the balance. So because I believe in balance, I think Ahmedabad is also a believer of balance. So we both like click with each other.
आपने मुझे बताया था बिफोर द रिकॉर्डिंग, यू आर वेरी इनटू सेल्स, और आपने सेल्स में ही लाइक थ्रू आउट योर करियर यू आर इनटू सेल्स। तो लाइक लॉट ऑफ पीपल हु विल बी इन देयर 20-24 के जो एज ग्रुप में होता है, लाइक दे आर प्राइमरी ऑडियंस एज ऑफ नाउ, और बहुत सारे लोग फ्रीलांसिंग में हैं। सो और सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम सभी लोगों के लिए होता है हाउ टू गेट अ क्लाइंट, और किस तरीके से मैं क्लाइंट को अप्रोच करूँ, किस तरीके से मैं क्लाइंट को ऑनबोर्ड करूँ, क्या कमर्शियल रखूँ, ये सारे बहुत सारे अलग अलग उनके प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं। सो आई वांट टू टॉक विथ यू अबाउट दैट, कि अभी सेल्स पे आके। सो आई जस्ट वांट टू नो कि आपने बहुत सारे बड़े बड़े ब्रांड्स, लाइक यू हैव क्लोज्ड विथ IFP इन योर करियर। सो किस तरीके से यू अप्रोच क्लाइंट, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल किस तरीके से अप्रोच
Okay.
करना चाहिए?
So मैं actually I'll not go into details of approaching because वो मेरा पूरा एक I run a sales boot camp
ओके।
which is like a 10 hour का course,
हाँ।
and उसमें भी मुझे लगता है कि I can't like share so much that happens within sales itself. So approaching, if I start speaking, we'll speak for next 2 hours. But I can tell people the importance of sales.
हाँ।
That selling is the basic, most human skill. When we are in an interview, we are selling ourselves. When we are in a date we are selling ourselves. We are always selling ourselves to people around us, saying that why should they prefer you over someone else.
Hmm.
And it's the same thing when you do sales. You need to be out there, vocal, and someone who doesn't know how to do sales is typically, for me, at least I believe, has a lot more to learn in their life. Because if you don't know how to sell, see again, I'm saying selling in a way, in a correct way, in a positive manner. I'm not saying selling by lying, not by selling saying that, hey, I am this, which you are not. Saying
Huh.
someone who is out there, who knows how to reach out to clients, someone who knows how to speak to clients, someone who knows how to negotiate, will always have better personal, professional, whatever kind of opportunities in their life. They'll always cling them, and they'll be able to convert more opportunities compared to someone else.
True.
So basic skills of communication, basic skills of validation, basic skills of negotiation, basic skills of consistently approaching. These are like basic things that sales teaches you, which is not just limited to business. It's also limited to non-business things as well. For example, sales. When I started, of course, I come from a place where I was not a good communicator at all.
Huh.
Worst at negotiation. If you tell me, yeah, kanda 100 rupees, I'll give you 100 rupees even if it's 20 rupees. I'll like that bad. Uh, and uh, and I always thought that I would not be a person who will make it into sales because my basic skill of communication and negotiation is completely missing. When I came into this, when I started doing it, because that was my only way to grow. I never had funds coming from my family. I still run IFP bootstrap. We don't want to raise any round of, or we haven't thought of raising any round of funds till now. We are not backed by any Reliance and Mahindra at all. So how do we make money? How do we survive a team? How do we grow a festival? The
Huh.
only way is that I had to take that seat of learning sales. And I said, hey, you know what? Probably in first 2 years I might not learn, but I'll do it continuously for 10 years. And probably at the end of 10th year, I'll become great at doing it. And exactly that happened. So the first year when I started doing sales was horribly bad. Like I made all wrong deals and I kept making mistakes till I was in the fourth, fifth year of doing sales. Once I started getting confidence when bigger deals started closing, when I realized that, hey, you know what, when I speak this, this works, but when I speak this, it doesn't work. And hence I should speak A and I should not speak B. When I
Hmm.
started realizing that, when I started working on it, I realized that I could multiply my business, which means, I could go from a 100K revenue company to a $4 million revenue company like this, just because I could convince people why they should be working with me. And convince, saying that not just bol bachchan convince in the sense also deliver on it. So of course delivering is the number one part. You need to sort out कि यार product इतना अच्छा होना चाहिए that people are wanting to buy it,
Huh.
and then you need to go out and buy it. So founders, especially someone who's in a startup who doesn't understand sales, who doesn't want to indulge in sales, let me tell you very frank, you will fail someday if you don't know how to sell. That's the basic most thing that every founder should know. They will only be able to build a sales team when they know how to sell, right?
Hmm.
If you're working in a company or if you're going to join and work in a company, you should know sales because that will get you a competitive advantage over a person who doesn't know how to sell. You will be always be a client facing person in their company. Your company will always push you to be client facing because they know that, hey, you can get them more business, you can be convincing, you can get a client the right kind of things that they demand for, and you can also generate business for the company. So it'll always give you a preference over someone else. So
Hmm.
it's like how reading and listening is a basic life skill. I think sales is a basic professional or a more, I'll say sales is a more adult skill. When you complete your teenage wala years, the next thing that you should learn is how to sell. And I'm
Hmm.
saying not just sell in professional interview. I'm saying sell even when you are dating someone. You should know what to speak, what not to speak. What are the things that are going to make you more attractive? What are the things
Hmm.
which are not going to make you more attractive? You should know that balance. You should
Hmm.
know how, when I speak this, how the other person will react. What does the other person need that I am going to provide them? You should know those basic things. That's how sales works, right?
Hmm.
Example. So continuously, I would be thinking that, hey, what is the kind of thing that Utsav needs right now? Utsav needs more quotable things that he can make reels out of, or Utsav needs just a random conversation that he'll remember when he turns 80. So I know that Utsav needs more content. So I'm going to provide you more real content. Now that is a very basic sales mentality. I can't go out of it, but I need to make sure that I am. If you require X and I have that X to supply, I need to make sure that I'm providing you that. That's how sales works.
Then when you know कि रिजेक्शन हो रहा है, then how did you kept yourself motivating कि नहीं कुछ ना कुछ तो टर्न अप होगा, कहीं ना कहीं से तो वो हाँ निकलेगी.
So like I said, na, sales is always a number game.
हाँ.
आपको पता है कि मैं 10 लोगों को अप्रोच करूंगा, 8 लोग मना करेंगे, पर दो हाँ बोले. अब मुझे पता है कि if I reach 80 people, you know, sorry, 100 people, 80 of them will say no, 20 will say yes. So I'm just saying, if you reach 1,000 people, 800 will say no, 200 will say yes. So I'm just saying, it's a number game. It has nothing to do with कि आपने, of course, you can increase your chances of number by being better prepared, by giving
हाँ.
them, आपके pitches ज्यादा अच्छे हो सकते हैं, आपका communication skill better हो सकता है, all those things, आपका professionalism better होगा, तो शायद आप 80-20 जगह 70-30 पे हो गए, 30% of your things close. But that's how sales always is. Rejection is always going to be a bigger part of it.
हम्म.
सिर्फ हार्वी स्पेक्टर है जो ऐसे क्लोज कर सकता है, बाकी नो पर्सन कैन क्लोज इट लाइक दिस. हार्वी स्पेक्टर मीटिंग में जाते हैं, इज लाइक ओके, दिस इज व्हाट आई हैव, दिस इज व्हाट यू वांट टू गिव, यू लाइक ओके, हार्वी स्पेक्टर साइन,
हम्म.
आई एग्री टू. ऐसा नहीं होता है, रियल लाइफ सेल्स इज वेरी डिफरेंट.
या.
Kind of. So you just need to understand that it's a number game. I think if that understanding is there about number game, then you're sorted. You don't need to
हम्म.
look back and worry about इसने मना क्यों किया, इसने हाँ क्यों बोला. Like okay, कोई बात नहीं, इसने मना किया, 10 में से she was amongst the 8 of those 10
हम्म.
people.
हम्म.
So
सो आई थिंक आपने यही बोला कि जस्ट फोकस ऑन योर इनपुट कि आप इतने लोगों को रीच आउट कर रहे हो एंड यू विल फाइंड योर रिजल्ट्स फ्रॉम देयर.
absolutely, you will know what your percentage of conversion is. So
हाँ.
sales is all about that. आपको आपका percentage of conversion better करना है.
हम्म. ट्रू.
That's the best thing and the only thing in your hand.
हाँ. ट्रू. और अभी मुझे आपके एक ट्वीट के ऊपर बात करनी है. यू ट्वीटेड दैट गुड बिजनेसेस आर बिल्ट ऑन कस्टमर्स नीड्स एंड ग्रेट बिजनेसेस आर बिल्ट आउट ऑफ फ्रॉम
Customers
कस्टमर्स
laziness.
लेजीनेस. कैन यू
I
गो डीप,
know.
कैन यू गो डीपर ऑन दिस?
Which is the biggest business? Like according to you, which is like a company which has superly grown up very fast recently?
TikTok, Instagram are out of customer laziness, I feel. Tik
Absolutely. Any other company which like a product, real product you want to use.
Amazon Alexa.
Alexa,
हाँ.
because you don't want to stand up and switch on the light.
हाँ.
So the way they'll tell you is that Alexa के साथ बात करो, it will switch on, it will
हम्म.
switch off, right? So a bigger business, take an Uber. Where does
हम्म.
an Uber come into picture? It's
हम्म.
it's completely out of your laziness to drive, that that they built an entire business out of it. Yeah.
हम्म.
It's
हम्म.
not that people don't have any other mediums to go from point A to point B. So I'm just saying, biggest of businesses will always work on your laziness. They'll want to make you lazy.
हम्म.
Not that you can't go out today to eat food, but if Swiggy is getting it delivered to your home, that's where a unicorn has already been born. So I'm just saying
हम्म.
that
हम्म.
people have a need. Have a need is a good thing. तुम एक laundry business बना सकते हो have a need में. My my requirement is laundry. I need a business. मेरे locality में someone started a business for laundry. वो घर पे आता है, हर रोज सुबह 9 बजे उठा के ले जाता है, अगले दिन 9 बजे देके चला जाता है. Great business. Can
हम्म.
they scale? I don't think so. No, because I know that वो नहीं करेगा, कोई और कर लेगा, वो नहीं करेगा, मैं खुद कर लूंगा, एक washing machine लगा दूंगा. But that's not where laziness comes in. Laziness is going out and having food. Someone
हम्म.
said, you know what? I don't want you to go out and have food. I can give it in your hand so that you don't take any effort. जहां पे they'll cut human effort, वहां पे a business will flourish.
हम्म.
Tomorrow they'll be like, hey, I don't want you to take the effort of driving or walking. I can actually get you picked up and dropped at your place. Wow, great. That's where the money is. So the
हम्म.
more lazy you make a customer, the bigger the business you can make over it.
हम्म.
So yes.
ट्रू. तो इसके ऊपर ही मुझे यूट्यूब के ऊपर आपका ओपिनियन चाहिए. लाइक यूट्यूब नाउ प्रोबेबली नेटफ्लिक्स और वो सब तो मैं सोशल मीडिया में नहीं. यूट्यूब इज ऑल्सो नॉट सोशल मीडिया बट यूट्यूब इज द प्लेटफॉर्म जो इंस्टाग्राम और वो सब के वॉच टाइम के साथ बहुत compete कर रहा है. एंड यूट्यूब इज द ओनली प्लेटफॉर्म वेर यू चूज वॉट यू वॉन्ट टू वॉच. इंस्टाग्राम, टिकटॉक, या तो फिर आप टिकटॉक इंडिया में तो नहीं है बट एनी अदर लाइक इंस्टाग्राम रील्स ही है वेर जस्ट अल्गोरिथम आपको बताएगा कि ये देखो ये देखो ये देखो. सो डू यू थिंक कि लाइक व्हाट आर योर थॉट्स ऑन दिस कि यूट्यूब ने यूट्यूब शॉर्ट्स भी लॉन्च किए हैं but and people are watching that as well. But do you think कि ये वाला मॉडल चला जाएगा कि जहाँ पे लोगों को जो चूज करने वाला जो चाहिए था कि आई वांट टू वॉच दिस, आई वांट टू वॉच दिस, क्या तो फिर पूरा अल्गोरिदम बेस्ड ही हो जाएगा? व्हाट आर योर थॉट्स ऑन दिस? क्या होगा? योर
So,
व्हाट्स योर हाइपोथेसिस?
so see, our viewing is based on two different things. One is your impulsive viewing, जहाँ पे
हाँ,
you don't know what to watch, so you will watch any random thing which will come in front of you because that is more to do with your time pass. You're
हाँ,
like, I have 30 minutes, I don't know what to watch, let the algorithm take the control. And
हाँ,
the other one is planned viewing, where
हाँ,
saying that, hey, Saturday evening I watch a movie. Which movie to watch? Either I will go on IMDb and search, I'll YouTube, or some friend would have told me saying that ये movie है, या फिर मेरे पास एक ही सब्सक्रिप्शन है फॉर एग्जाम्पल हॉटस्टार का, जो उस पर अच्छा मूवी ट्रेंडिंग होगा, आई वॉच दैट. Right? So the first one, which is the impulsive viewing, people let the algorithm take control because, hey, I'm tired. Why do I want to take an effort or finding something? What if it doesn't turn out good? मजा नहीं आया रील को तो तुम स्वाइप करके यू कैन मूव टू द नेक्स्ट वन. अगर
हाँ,
तुमने एक बार शॉर्ट फिल्म चालू किया, नहीं मजा आया, 30 मिनट्स बाद रियलाइज हुआ कि दिस इज नॉट गुड, व्हाट विल हैपन देन,
हम्म,
typically 30 minutes waste हो गए. So people don't want to make a choice in an impulsive viewing. In a planned viewing, people will always have a choice. They'll be like, आज मेरे को एक्शन मूवी देखना है,
हम्म,
कौन सा देखना है, they'll, that is something that they'll always leave it on a recommendation algorithm, or they'll uh, have it from a friend suggest. Typically you will see most of the people will find a movie based on what their friends are viewing or what their friends were conversing today at the lunch. The friend says, hey, Golden Spoon is great, I'm like, oh, Golden Spoon is great, let me go and watch it.
हम्म,
So that is more of a planned viewing. So I think they will always remain separate. When you want time pass content, you'll leave it on algorithm. When you want serious content, something which is going to impact you, you will always want to have a choice in it.
तो जहाँ पे आप कॉन्शियसली अपना टाइम दोगे, द यूट्यूब विल पिक्चर विल कम इन, राइट? सो डू यू थिंक
जहां
कि
पे कॉन्शियसली आप टाइम दोगे, वहां पे आप चूज करना चाहोगे.
चूज करना चाहोगे, राइट? सो डू यू थिंक, दिस इज माय हाइपोथेसिस, कि कंटेंट क्यूरेशन भी ना, इट विल बिकम वेरी वेरी बिग इन कमिंग फ्यूचर, कि जहाँ पे जो लोग अच्छा अच्छा रिकमेंडेशन देंगे, पीपल विल स्टार्ट रिस्पेक्टिंग मोर एंड मोर, जिस तरीके से वो अभी जो लोग प्योर एक कंटेंट बनाते हैं, अपना खुद का बनाते हैं उस तरीके से। और वहाँ पे एक अलग ब्रीड लोगों की वो भी होगी कि दे विल स्टार्ट क्यूरेटिंग कंटेंट, कि आज वीकेंड है, आपको 5 मूवीज देखनी है, दीज आर 5 सम ऑफ माई रिकमेंडेशन, आप जो देख सकते हो बढ़िया होगा, और शायद से मैंने देखी है।
Absolutely.
तो डू यू थिंक कि ये
Absolutely.
बढ़ने लगेगा आगे जाके?
आई थिंक ऑफ कोर्स बढ़ने लगेगा बिकॉज आप आपको आपके टिपिकली यू विल आस्क योर सोशल सर्कल फॉर
हाँ,
रिकमेंडेशन. सो आपने फ्रेंड से पूछ लिया, आपने आपके कलीग से पूछ लिया, नेबर से पूछ लिया, देन वेयर डू यू गेट मोर रिकमेंडेशन फ्रॉम? सो पीपल विल ऑलवेज फॉल बैक टू समवन दे ट्रस्ट online. If I trust a person, an influencer or someone I'm following online, and he or she says that I I think you should watch these 5 films, I'll give it a try. And if I like it, if I think that he or she suggested me a right kind of film,
हम्म,
then definitely I'll take that their further recommendations every time.
हम्म, ट्रू, ट्रू। नाउ आई वांट टू टॉक यू अबाउट द पर्टिकुलर पोस्ट ऑफ योर्स, जहाँ पे आपने बात की है अबाउट कंपैरिजंस, कि पहले के ज़माने में क्या होता है, कंपैरिजन वाज लिमिटेड, कि आप इतने लोगों को जानते हो या इतना, एंड नाउ सडनली यू आर स्टार्ट कंपेयरिंग योर सेल्फ विद अननोन। जैसे जैसे मैंने आपको पहले, हम लोग बात कर रहे थे अबाउट बैलेंसिंग योर लाइफ, जिसमें कि लाइक अ 22-year-old ऑन यूट्यूब मेकिंग अ वीडियो कि मैंने 5 मिलियन कमा लिया, सडनली है कि मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ अपने लाइफ के अंदर, बट आई कंप्लीट डोंट नो हिम। तो वर्ल्ड उस तरीके से ओपन हो चुका है, एंड वी आर स्टार्टेड कंपेयरिंग आवर सेल्फ विद सो मैनी डिफरेंट पीपल, जिसके हम रियल लाइफ बहुत अच्छे तरीके से जानते भी नहीं है। सो हैव यू एवर गॉन थ्रू दिस कंपैरिजन रैबिट होल, कि जहाँ पे आपने कंपेयर किया था बहुत सारे लोगों से कि यार ये नहीं है मेरे पास, ये नहीं है? बिकॉज आई हैव गॉन थ्रू इट एंड आई हैव,
Everyone goes through it. It's very human to get compared
या,
and to compare yourself, and we do it all the time यार. मतलब
हाँ,
it's not that कि हम compare नहीं करते हैं. आज मैं पोस्ट लिखने के बाद भी I compare myself, of course. But I think इतना ज्यादा हम compare करने में आ गए हैं because of social media, because of our online virtual personalities. Everything is out there. People see your phone and they compare. People see your shoes and they compare. People see your brand that you are wearing and they compare. People see your watch and they compare.
हाँ,
People compare you basis your work. People compare you basis your looks. People always compare you. They'll always find newer things. The more we'll keep adding to our lifestyle, the more people will compare. पहले एयरपोर्ट नहीं था कंपेयर करने के लिए, अब एयरपोर्ट आ गया, अब पीपल एयरपोर्ट पे कंपेयर करते हैं ऐसा। समवन इन माय फ्लाइट, पर्सन वाज टेलिंग अनदर पर्सन, देख अभी तू एयरपोर्ट 2 पे क्यों है, अभी प्रो पे आ जा, प्रो प्रो इज लाइक मच बेटर डूड, लाइक बेचारे के पास ऑलरेडी एक एयरपोर्ट है, व्हाई आर यू मेकिंग हिम और फील बैड अबाउट इट? I just think that the more things we'll add in our life, the more visibility the internet is going to give us, the more comparison is going to happen. पहले
हम्म
कंपेयर करने के लिए कुछ था ही नहीं, नो। अब इतनी सारी चीजें कंपेयर करने के लिए that you continuously compare people, and because we are also more exposed to the world, there is more comparison that we keep on doing. Now,
हम्म
because you get compared so many times, and not every time you consciously compare, a lot of times your brain subconsciously keeps on comparing you with a lot of other people. There's a fatigue. You're like, dude, I'm tired of getting compared with everything. मैं सर से पैर तक आई कांट बी परफेक्ट एंटायर डे। मैं आज अपने बेस्ट शूज पहन के बाहर निकला, वेरी नाइस, मैंने अपना बेस्ट वॉच पहन लिया, आज मैंने अपना बेस्ट ब्रांड पहन लिया, बट समवन कंपेयर्ड मी बिकॉज उनका सनग्लासेस वाज बेटर देन माइन। हाउ मेनी थिंग्स कैन यू बी बेस्ट इन? So the only way to escape is either you live in a rabbit hole, you like go into Kailash Mansarovar and take a kutia and live there. But the other way is that you get conscious about things, saying that, hey, I am going to get compared, but it should not let me affect.
हम्म
People are getting affected. Tabhi they're using filters because they want to hide their real self, because they know the moment they put their real photo out, they're going to get compared. People are
हम्म
just trying to wear a mask to make sure that they are not getting compared at all, or even if they're getting compared, they're the best one. अभी
हम्म
कितना बेस्ट वन निकलेगा यार उत्सव? यू नो
हम्म
कितना
हम्म
बेस्ट वन? How many times in a day can you be the best out of everyone?
या
Unless it's like your one in a million lucky day where since morning to evening everything that you did was perfectly the best in the world. I
हम्म
don't think, if you compare Bill Gates to Elon Musk, they might be the most successful people, but you'll still be able to find 10 things that Elon Musk is not great at.
हम्म
You know. So I just think that there's so much of comparison which is happening, and it's ultimately led it to a place where we are, without being vocal about it, tired. We are like,
या
dude, now I don't want to wake up in the morning and get compared on social media on what kind of posts I like. So a lot of people start living a more private life, and I think then they have to subconsciously be prepared that no matter what happens, I will not let it affect me.
हम्म और आपने किस तरीके से किया है कि डज नॉट अफेक्ट यू? किस तरीके से लाइक आपने अपनी लाइक सेल्फ अवेयरनेस बढ़ाई है कि
यार
ओके?
मतलब आई टेल यू, जब वो रियलाइजेशन मुझे हिट हुआ ना, तब से आई थिंक आई स्टार्टेड टेकिंग केयर दैट आई डोंट फील बैड इफ आई एम नॉट गुड एट समथिंग in my
हम्म
life. Abhi, recently, I was at a TED talk, and the moment I climbed down from my TED talk and I sat back in audience में आके, the person next to me, I don't know who he was. He was like, सुबह से अभी तक your talk was the best. And as much as it made me feel happy, I was like, hey, I shouldn't be feeling happy because he just compared me to other people.
हम्म
Which is, though even if it's in my favor, I don't want these reactions to make me feel happy, because what if he told me that, hey, your talk was not great? Tab to I would have felt sad as well.
हम्म
So if I don't want myself to feel sad when I'm getting compared, I should not even jump out of my seat and feel very happy when I'm on the other side of
हम्म
receiving comparison. So I think that realization that you should not fall into the trap of comparing yourself with others is the biggest eye opening. Post that anyone who goes through that realization will start doing steps by automatically that will prevent them
हम्म
from falling into that trap.
या एंड जो मैंने आपकी राइटिंग में से मैंने देखा है कि योर आर्टिकुलेशन ऑफ थॉट्स आर गुड, और मुझे यही पता चलता है कि कहीं ना कहीं पे यू आर अवेयर अबाउट योर सेल्फ एंड सो लाइक हाउ यू कीप योर सेल्फ मेंटली ऑल्सो फिट कि क्या व्हाट आर सम ऑफ द थिंग्स यू डू कि जैसे आप एक आर जिम में जाते हो तो एक क्या आपका उस क्या चीज़ें करते हो कि आप मेंटली भी फिट रहो? व्हाट आर सम ऑफ द कॉन्शियस डिसीजन यू टेक?
Like I said, invest a lot in my hobbies, in my personal growth as well. Like,
हम्म
need to tell people that your life outside of your office has to be a healthy life as well. You can't just go home, survive, play with your kid, come back next day, and again be in the same marshmallow. I'm just saying you need to have a personality of your own, which should be so strong that tomorrow, if you are not working, you should still be able to be happy, live, and sustain.
हम्म
You should not, fall suddenly and say, "मेरा तो सब खत्म हो गया." You should still have things to look forward to. I think that is where the difference is. Invest in yourself. Again, a literally thing that I've seen a lot of people of my age, people elder to me, people younger to me, of course, that they don't invest in themselves. Definitely. And when things fall apart, which someday things might fall apart, they don't have anything, any hope that they can look forward to, because they always kept on doing just one thing, put all their eggs in one basket, and someday that basket didn't go into their favor. Now they're like, oh, मेरा सारा eggs चला गया. Dude, you never, as a human, इतना अच्छा कहावत किसी ने बनाया आज से 200 साल पहले, never put your eggs in one basket, which didn't mean कि तुम सिर्फ अपना पैसा अलग अलग जगह इन्वेस्ट करो, which also meant that तुम अपना टाइम भी अलग अलग जगह इन्वेस्ट करो. Invest some part of your time for yourself, some part for your friends, some part for your family, some part for your work,
Hmm.
some part for your health. You need to have those buckets. So tomorrow, if one thing fails, everything is not failing.
Hmm.
So that is where I think, uh, like you said, a lot of people need to own that up. Need to start, have a very um, conscious ownership of choices that they are making.
एंड कभी कभी आपके साथ ये हुआ है कि यू नो कि दीज आर सम ऑफ द थिंग्स दैट यू आर नॉट डूइंग राइट, और कहीं ना कहीं पे इट इज अफेक्टिंग यू मेंटली एज वेल. तो पुटिंग योर सेल्फ इनटू दैट अनकंफर्टेबल सिचुएशन एंड रियलाइजिंग योर सेल्फ कि ओके रितम और उत्सव कि ये चीज़ें गलत हो रही है एंड हाउ कैन आई कम आउट ऑफ इट. तो किस तरीके से हुआ? जैसे मेरे साथ हुआ था कि ड्यूरिंग द पैंडेमिक टाइम और उसके पहले ही आफ्टर माई कॉलेज ग्रेजुएशन आई सॉ माई सेल्फ कि आई एम कंपेयरिंग अ लॉट टू with my friends, और कहीं ना कहीं पे it was affecting my friendship a lot. Then I took a conscious decision. I was writing journal every day in pandemic, और उससे like after 2-3 months I came to a point कि जहाँ पे I realized कि साथ में ग्रो होने में जो मज़ा होगा वो कहीं ना कहीं पे अगर अकेला मैं चला जाऊंगा और कंपेयर करता रहूंगा, तो कंपेयर में एक हो रहा है कि उसको पता नहीं है कि मैं कंपेयर कर रहा हूँ, तो उसको तो ठीक है, वो तो अपना कुछ आगे कर ही रहा है, बट समवेयर डाउन द लाइन आई एम पुटिंग माई सेल्फ डाउन विदाउट कॉन्शियसली थिंकिंग कि कुछ नहीं होगा इससे, एंड इट्स अ जीरो सम गेम कि इससे कुछ कुछ नहीं होने वाला है कहीं पे भी. सो देन आई लिटरली लिजिट केम आउट ऑफ इट. देन अभी जब मेरे माइंड में कंपेरिजन के थॉट आते हैं, 10 out of 8 times आई एम लाइक कि ओके बॉस कुछ नहीं होगा उससे, ना इट डज नॉट अफेक्ट मी नाउ. बट कोई एक दो बार हो जाता है, बट मेजोरिटी ऑफ द टाइम आई एम लाइक ओके ठीक है, फॉरगेट इट, वो मुझे अफेक्ट नहीं होता. बट इट्स जस्ट कि मैंने वो अपने आप को, एंड इट वाज वेरी अनकंफर्टेबल फॉर मी टू पुट दैट इनटू, एंड स्पेशली मैंने अपने मेल फ्रेंड्स में ये चीज देखी हुई है कि दे जस्ट कांट सी दोज, कांट पुट देमसेल्व्स इन दोज अनकंफर्टेबल सिचुएशन, बिकॉज हमको ये सिखाया गया है कि क्यों हम लोग अपनी इनसिक्योरिटी बताया या तो फिर जताया करें लोगों के सामने.
आई थिंक वो सबके साथ होता है यार. मतलब हाउ आई सी द प्रोसेस इज दैट एक रियलाइजेशन होना चाहिए. First,
हम्म.
once the realization happens, saying that okay, this is where I'm going wrong, or probably this is how things are not supposed to be. Even if everyone is doing it wrong, but I should not do it wrong. I think more realization is necessary. Then the second phase is where you make a plan. You say, okay, for example, like you said, कि यार realization हुआ कि मैं खुद को बहुत compare कर रहा हूँ, and people around me are also comparing themselves with everything hundreds of times a day. उनका तो मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता, but what I can do is that I can stop comparing myself. Now, how do I do it? Is from tomorrow onwards, every time I think I have a thought where I'm comparing myself, I'll have to kill that thought. It's like control alt delete. I'll have to stop thinking. I'll be like, no, Ritam, you shouldn't be comparing yourself. That's what you decided. And then I do this as an exercise for 7, 8, 10 days. Eventually, after some days, few weeks, it becomes kind of a habit for you. It's like you'll always stop comparing. You'll be like, and it's an uncomfortable space, because you have to consciously put effort every day, thinking, oh, I don't need to do it. I don't need to do it. Oh shit, I did it today. From tomorrow, I'll make sure I don't need to do it. And then eventually that becomes an habit. So I think everyone goes through that particular process. And I think it's an uncomfortable process, but it's how you realign yourself.
हम्म.
Rewiring your brain is the most difficult thing on this planet.
हम्म.
It's not, for humans, it's not difficult to reach on a moon. It's difficult to rewire your brain. आज मेरे को कोई स्पेस शेड्यूल में बैठाएगा, मैं पहुंच जाएगा मून पे. बट इफ यू टेल मी सेइंग दैट रिदम कल से हैबिट चेंज करना है, इट्स रियली गोइंग टू बी अ डिफिकल्ट पेनफुल प्रोसेस. एंड एनी चेंज प्रोसेस इज ऑलवेज गोइंग टू बी पेनफुल. सो यस.
Hmm. Hmm. True. I'm in that phase when I'm struggling and I don't have I have this confusion, और बहुत सारे मैंने अराउंड लोग भी देखे हुए हैं कि they have this confusion कि like in what work uh, what is the career they want to choose or what is the work they want to go really deep into, like वो depth में जाके भी करना चाहते हैं, and they kind we like I am right now confused कि यार मैं इसमें भी अच्छा हूँ, यार मैं ये भी कर लेता हूँ, okay ये भी कर लेता हूँ, like what I need to decide, like in according to your hypothesis, how someone can choose a particular right set of path for their career कि okay, or do you believe कि master of one and jack of all?
So I am a believer of jack of all, master of one. You should know every possible thing and one thing that you are good at. That's how you should always come out to be. Now, the first thing that you asked about about how do you get to know what you are made for, I think there's only one answer to anything in nature, which is trial and error.
हाँ.
अर्थ भी वैसे ग्रो हुआ है अपने साथ. अर्थ also went through a lot of trial and error and eventually it took it millions of years before it could support life, which I don't think so even उसका purpose होगा. But I'm just saying that for us, if you have to know what exactly you're good at, it always means you need to try something, fail, go into next, fail, go into next, fail, and then eventually realize what is one thing that makes you really comfortable. So, I think that's the only way that anyone, and that's our best shot at succeeding. And if we, I've seen people having a very firm mindset, saying that I want to just do this, and then they keep doing it and then fail, and that hurts really bad. So, and then there are people who just want to do too many things and they're just doing too many things all over the place. That also is a hurtful thing. So, do one thing, try your best, fail, do next thing, try your best, fail. I think that's the best way you'll figure out where do you fit. I think that's, for me, that has been a hypothesis which has always worked, and I've always seen that hypothesis having the maximum output for people around me as well.
Lately I'm realizing this only that वो जो गीता में बोला गया वही है कि आई हैव कंट्रोल ओवर माय इनपुट ओनली, आई कांट थिंक
Absolutely.
अबाउट आउटपुट फ्रॉम द गेट गो कि मैं ये काम कर रहा हूँ तो यही आउटपुट मुझे
हाँ
मिलेगा. सो
हाँ, एग्जैक्टली. सो इनपुट पे कंट्रोल होना जरूरी है.
हाँ.
बाकी आउटपुट तो यू हैव टू कीप ट्राइंग एंड टेस्टिंग इन सम वे. लाइक मैंने भी सेल्स इसीलिए किया था बिकॉज आई हैड टू डू इट. ट्राइड इट फॉर सम डे, आई स्टार्टेड एंजॉयिंग इट. मैंने साथ में ग्राफिक डिजाइन भी किया, बट आई रियलाइज आई डोंट एंजॉय इट. बट आई नो हाउ टू डू इट. आई डोंट एंजॉय इट, इट इज फाइन. बट I learned it as a skill. I said, oh, graphic designing so cool. थोड़े दिन किया, oh, not enjoying it. Okay, let me do this. Oh, operation, such cool thing. अरे वाह, थोड़े दिन किया, I'm not enjoying it. Okay. Oh, sales, such a cool thing. Let me now try this. Oh, wow, I'm enjoying this. That's how I think everyone will find their path within.
True. And what are you most curious about nowadays?
Most curious about. Okay, so I'm currently building the largest Lego city in India.
Wow.
So finally, I got the space doing, transferring all my material, and I'll start building it very soon. So I'm right now in the phase where I'm meeting town planners. I'm meeting people who have made similar Lego cities in other countries, and I'm trying to see how can I make a city which is flawless, which is as which is built on the principles of town planning, all the learnings from the failures that would have happened. So I'm working on that, and I never thought town planning would be such an interesting thing because there are things which are so interconnected that if one thing goes wrong, a lot of things go wrong. We've seen that in our real life cities, right? So here's a chance that I have to build a very utopian city which is perfect. And I said, if I have a chance to make something which is perfect, then I should utilize that chance to learn as much as about it. So right now I did a small course on town planning over the weekend and speaking to two town planners, people, and I'm also going to speak to a faculty who teaches town planning. And tonight I have a call with a Lego master from another city, from another country, who's going to teach me about what were the things that they went through when they were building their own city. So yes, that's a very random, curious thing that I am into right now.
Wow, this is really fascinating. And one question I want to ask you from this: what do you think from Lego? What are some of the lessons that you can apply in your business as well?
I don't think, honestly, if I've ever merged two of them, and if I would have a learning from one that would go into another thing. But my learning from Lego, for example, from my hobby, has been more non-business oriented.
Huh.
Um, Lego has infinite possibilities. With just 100 bricks, you can make 2 raised to 100 kind of combinations, you know. And If you have 1,000 bricks, the number is almost close to infinite. I have close to 7.5 lakh bricks. Just think of it. What can I do out of it? What I've learned is that uh, with similar ingredients, there are multiple things that could be made, you know. But our brain only tells us saying that, hey, you brick house in Lego. So when you get a new Lego set, it comes with a manual of making a car, for example. You bought a car set.
हाँ.
So you will read the steps and make a car out of it. But if I don't give you an instruction manual, you can make a lot more things out of it. You know, you can practically make anything out of it as well. You might make a crane, you might make a airplane, you might make a boat. You can make actually anything because there's no manual which is given to you. You
Hmm.
know? So my learning always has been that usually in front of you there are infinite possibilities, but because you are trained to look at one, you always look at one. You know,
Hmm.
but the moment I take away the instruction manual, you will start building. You might struggle, but eventually you will find out something new out of it.
Hmm.
So I think for me that
Wow.
when you have multiple things in front of you, when you think that hey, I've hit a roadblock, it's usually a roadblock because you were following the instruction manual. You were just wanting to make that one perfect thing, whereas you could have made infinite things out of it.
So
So yes.
so I think लेगो से वो डाइवर्जेंट थिंकिंग आप बढ़ा सकते हो.
हाँ, डाइवर्जेंट थिंकिंग और प्रोबेबली ज्यादातर लोग डाइवर्जेंट थिंकिंग नहीं बढ़ाते हैं. They
हाँ.
use Lego for exactly what is to be built.
हाँ.
They
हाँ.
will get those 100 pieces and make a car out of it. You know,
हाँ.
but the understanding that आप उससे actually कई सारी चीजें बना सकते हो is how life is also. You have so many
Hmm.
opportunities. You can make best of it. If you are not eyeing just one of them, yeah,
Hmm.
ऐसा.
एंड वाई लेगो इज एडिक्टिव. मैंने ऐसे बहुत सारे लोग देखे हुए हैं कि एक बार अगर उन्होंने एक लेगो सेट बना दिया, जैसे आपने बोला कि कई कार बना दिया, तो फिर कोई किसी एक में देखा था कि उसने एक ऑफिस वाला लिया था लेगो, कि जहाँ पे वो ऑफिस की पूरी माइक्रो स्कॉट वाली जो पूरी ऑफिस होती है उसने वो बनाई थी. एंड ही स्टार्टेड परचेसिंग अनदर अनदर लेगो. व्हाई लेगो इज एडिक्टिव? बिकॉज आई हैवंट प्लेड, और मैंने देखा भी नहीं है रियल लाइफ में. सो व्हाई इट इज
It
एडिक्टिव?
is it is very meditative, if I have to tell you. While you're
हाँ.
making it, you go into a very different zone
हम्म.
altogether. See, humans were always made to build things. You know, we were always creators. You know, I'm not saying video creators. We created paintings in the cave. You know, we created our own food. That's how we are different from other species. We created our homes, we created a tire, we created a well, we created things which made us different. So we always have a creating instinct, not
हम्म.
creative instinct, creating instinct. We love to create. That's how we always have been. And Lego, I just think, gives you another opportunity to create. So that's where we are. You know, it just plays with your very basic human instinct of of being able to
हम्म.
create something new.
हम्म.
So I think that is where it works. And once you start building, you go into a zone where, which I called is like how you feel when you do meditation. So mostly everyone who goes through that
Wow.
phase will always find it's very thrillingly meditative. So yes, why not?
Wow, fascinating. And if I have to ask you कि randomly मुझे ये आ रहा है, like what's your why? Have you figured out your why कि this is my why?
What's your why? Of course, I've figured out what's my why.
हाँ.
It is, I don't know if I'll be able to explain it in words directly, but it has to do with doing things that are going to impact thousands of people. You know, my why lies in the fact that I want to do stuff that is going to make an impact in lives of people. I'm not saying a social impact, but more of a culture impact. I
हम्म.
want to do things that are going to change the way people do things right now. So I want to be in. I think that is where, for me, things are calling, and I want to do it for things for people for whom someone else is not thinking. You know,
हम्म.
where there is a possibility of creating an impact, but no one has found that as a market gap. So I think
हम्म.
that is where my. So I think that fire that hey today I'll wake up, I'll do something which will impact lives of few hundred, few people, one person or few million people is what keeps me going across. So
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
the why.
What are some of the things that you want to tell to 20-24-year-olds जो अभी कर रहे हैं? What are some of the things that you want to tell them?
I think one thing that I want to tell them is that don't fall for mediocrity.
Hmm.
Just doing things for the sake of doing them is not going to take you anywhere. Your professional life, your personal life, your spiritual life, whatever you're living, try to be either best or don't do it. The place that a lot of us go wrong is when we are trying to be mediocre, and mediocrity typically kills the biggest of ideas. So mediocre काम मत करो. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help your company. It's not going to help your startup. It's not going to help your family. It's not going to help. So I think that is one thing that I have always hated uh, across, and I've seen that um, more and more people end up being mediocre
Hmm.
with passing times because we are less productive now. So I think people are being more mediocre, and I think that it will overall harm all of us someday. It will harm us individually and then, of course, collectively as well. So, yes,
Hmm. Hmm.
there is
True.
like one piece of advice that I tell everyone.
ऐसा आई एम अ बिग फैन ऑफ कुणाल तो कुणाल भी यही चीज़ बोलते हैं कि आस्क योरसेल्फ व्हाटएवर रिसोर्सेज यू हैव और जो भी अगर आप काम कर रहे हो अगर आप एक म्यूजिशियन हो देन आस्क योरसेल्फ कि इज दिस द बेस्ट सॉन्ग दैट आई हैव मेड विद द रिसोर्सेज दैट आई हैव और अगर उसका आंसर येस है वायरलिटी वायरलिटी सब कुछ भूल जाओ व्यूज और वो सब का तो आपको ऐसा लगता है कि बना है इट्स ओके तो आप वहां से वो मेंटालिटी क्रिएट करनी बहुत जरूरी है Yes. Thank you so much, Ritam, for joining in. And as I told you, it was one of the जो tick mark होता है ना from the podcast guest like that will be my tick mark की Ritam Bhatnagar was on my podcast. So thank you so much for doing it. I had a
Absolutely.
very
Thank you
great
so much.
fun.
I thank you for inviting me, and I hope I solved your purpose of being here,
Yeah,
and
sure.
I was able to talk about things that mattered to you in a right manner. I think that's what every salesperson is doing, is
Yeah,
selling yourself
yeah,
correctly.
yeah. And how was your experience on being on the podcast?
It was nice. I thought that because he kept it very natural without a good flow
Huh.
or a very defined flow, I will say, it led the conversation being much more natural than how it otherwise podcasts are, where everything is
Huh.
planned. So people say 10 मिनट ये बोलेंगे 10 मिनट ये बोलेंगे 10 मिनट ये बोलेंगे.
Huh.
So typically by the time you start speaking about it, they're like, okay, topic change next. So I think that
Hmm.
is something that we were doing less frequently. So
Yeah,
which is a good experience, of course, for a
yeah,
speaker.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for
But
doing this.
great, Utsav. I think uh, thank you for inviting me, and I think for taking the initiative of running your own podcast, reaching out to people by cold emails, and getting happy at looking at the responses. I think that's what all of us. That's the kind of spirit that all of us should have. So
Yeah,
great,
yeah,
great running this, and I hope you take this podcast to whatever heights that you would have desired for them.
sure. Thank you so much.
Okay, see you.
सो दैट्स द एंड ऑफ दिस पॉडकास्ट एपिसोड. अगर आपको ये एपिसोड अच्छा लगा हो, आपको कुछ वैल्यू मिली हो, आपको कुछ नया जानने को मिला हो इस एपिसोड में से, देन मेक श्योर यू हिट दैट लाइक बटन एंड शेयर दिस एपिसोड as much as you can, especially with your friends who has particular kind of interest in this kind of topics. And lastly, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.